Today HSR released a new version which is a version 4.3, and this 4.3 actually looking stacked because in this 4.3 they are not only rerunning one of those like a top tier character for your elation path, but they are also going to be another new character which is a SP version of our previous old character, which is none other than the Mortenax blade, or you can say the SP blade. Now this blade is actually pretty much of a crack, and also it is kind of like a different element from its base version. In the base version we do have like a wind element, but in this version we do have a pyro element, and also the path is also changed. In our base version we do have the destruction path, but currently we do have a nihility path. Now nihility is kind of like a very much of a weird situation in this HSR, because when the first nihility was released back in version 1.0, it was considered as a dot damage dealing types of archetype, but after some times later when the eidolon was released, it is not even a dot types of things, it becomes kind of like a DPS types of things, just like the crit and crit damage. And after that there are so many nihility characters was also released, especially the Fuge and also some other characters, especially the Cypher. Those characters are kind of like a very much of a hard competitor for the Harmony, who are specialized to give your character a buff and also debuff into the enemy. As the nihility stands for kind of like a giving the dot damage and also giving the debuff towards the enemy, they are also giving a sustainable good amount of buff towards your character, which kind of like a very much of a hard competitor to your Harmony class. And also they are kind of like a weird situation where they can be used as a Harmony character, and also they can be used as a sub DPS, or most of the cases as a DPS characters. That's not the main thing that I'm going to talk about today's video. Today's video topic is going to be this version 4.3 also comes with, as I already mentioned before, Mortenax blade, and in this blade we are going to see that where he actually stands for this current meta. As I already saw his gameplay or saw his kit into this beta testing, man, he is actually looking stacked, and this is the first male character from the HSR where he is totally survived all those beta testing without any of those like a nerf, because there are so many characters, especially the Sirenny, could not even able to escape from the Hoyoverse management things, where they are going to give you a huge amount of buff in the beta testing, but when the after beta testing 3 or 4 comes off, your character is going to be the dog shit to the core, or maybe not even dog shit. Sometimes they just totally change the characteristics before the release of a certain characters. That's a totally different thing, but Blade did not even get any of those like a major nerf from its like a beta testings, and it is actually pretty much of interesting to see that where he actually belongs to this current meta. Before starting this video, let me give you a brief description that what kind of site today I'm going to use. Yes, today's site is going to be the python.gg. As you can see through my screen, it is actually one of those like a top tier, or you can say the most popular website when it comes to this kind of tier list things. They are not only cover the HSR, they are also cover Udaringa Zelensky 0, and also along with another 13 games with actively. That's the main thing what I'm trying to say here. Anyway, let's see where he is actually belong to this tier list. And also I already heard so many people that he is actually going to make Eidolon come back from the graveyard, and she is going to be the meta again. Let's see how does she even perform to this current meta. Besides that, I'm not going to touch any of those like a criteria or any of those like options which is actually website showing to me, because if I just somehow click any of those things, I guess I will be get spoiled and the meaning of whole video will be totally ruined. Anyway, let's see. For this kind of games we do have a 3 types of endgame mode. First one is a Memory of Chaos, Pure Fiction, and also Apocalyptic Shadow. Those 3 endgame modes also give you the same rewards, which is the 800 primo gems. And this website does have kind of like a good feature. When you are going to move your cursor to a certain characters, you don't even have to go individuals endgames criteria to see that why they just totally belong to the particular endgame site. All you have to do just select any of this like endgame and also move your cursor to a certain character. You get to know that where they totally belong without just going to individually any of those like endgame criteria. Okay, let's see. First part is going to be the apex tier character. They are the most dominant character into this current meta. They are not even actually a meta dealing character. They are the meta creator, and the whole meta is always going to revolve around them. And there is also a meta class character who actually rely on the meta. If the game is actually providing some kind of like a particular character buff towards your certain endgame moves or certain patch, then those kind of particular character would even have shine moment. Other than that, they won't even have any of those like values. So they are kind of like a very much of a meta dealer, but when it comes to apex tier character, they are the actual meta creator. Okay, so where he is actually belong, damn man, he is actually belong tier 0 on his initial release. Of course it was actually a given thing, because the amount of buff and also debuff he actually provides towards the team, which is actually very much of phenomenal. If I just give you a brief description that what kind of things I actually provide to your account if you just somehow able to get him, which is the first one is going to be the 30% defense rate, another added thing which is going to be the 50% vulnerability, and also another thing which is a taunt. Yes, in our base blade version we do have kind of like a problem problem of a taunt things, and his Litecoin does not even able to added this kind of features on him, because in your base version blade there was kind of like a passive or like a kit system where if you don't even get hit of a 5 times of your blade, then you won't even get a follow-up attack, which is the main damage source of his whole of a damage things. But as you can see that there was no kind of like a mechanics that his kit was able to give you, and also his Litecoin was not even able to give this kind of things. Even the Nova Filler buff, which is afterwards, they just totally give him some kind of like a good buff here and there of his kits, but they did not even added this kind of like a taunt mechanics to it. I guess they were kind of like a waiting for editing this kind of things for the next, or you can say the awaken version of him, and which is they already added into this of a SP blade, which is the awaken version of him. So the thing is that the taunt version they already added in here, and also buff for the allies. There is kind of like 2 types of buff. First one, if you do have a nihility character just like the Acheron, then you will able to get that nihility character 50% ultimate damage bonus, which is actually very much of a huge for your Acheron, and also other nihility character in future if any of those have kind of like a ultimate line just like the Acheron. And there is another types of damage if you don't even have a nihility character. If you just somehow able to place him into another teams, this guy can also be able to give you a 50% amount of follow-up damage, which is actually very much of a helpful if you don't even have a follow-up character buff just like the Ashville. Ashville is very much of a niche towards your follow-up character buffs, but if you somehow ever not even able to get him, I guess blade will comes in handy. That's the main thing with that you have to understand. And another thing is that his signature weapon is kind of like a good to have but not must to have. Why am I saying this? Because his signature weapon is not even going to that kind of like a buff that his kit able to give you, which is like a differentiated vulnerability. All his signature weapon will give you is 30% kit damage, which does not even have any kind of like a huge amount of value compared to what his kit actually going to give you. That's totally of a little bit of a rundown, and we are going to see much more than that what this site actually give him in the review. In the review section we do have a 2-part. First one is going to be the what kind of benefits that you will get from him, and what kind of disadvantages just be having him on your team. That's the main thing that we are going to say. But before then, that let's see what kind of changes they are already been done in this current meta. So the thing is that no other character already changed its position from their previous patches. The character that already changed massive changes, which is going to be the Acheron. Of course, as I already mentioned before, these guys actually helping Acheron a lot, because the amount of damage which is if you do have a nihility character on your team, which is the Acheron, going to be get benefited, and that character going to get a 50% warp amount of ultimate damage. Damn man, if you have a good investment of a Acheron, somehow E2 or E1 or E0 S0 just like me, damn, you are going to be eating good if you just somehow able to get this guy. Especially this guy actually giving a hard time for our TV, because in our TV only give us a 34% vulnerability buff, and that 34% vulnerability does not only comes from with the little bit of a sweep. You wait for your TV to do the follow-up attacks at least for a certain amount of times to get your full stack of a vulnerability buff. And one thing is totally missing, which is the rest span what your TV gives us, which is a 24%, but blade does not even give you, but it somehow able to complete it the amount of buff that he is actually giving us, which is a 30% defense shot and also other kinds of buff, follow-up attack buff, but that is totally limited to a certain restriction that you have to maintain it to get those amount of buff. Other than that, all the characters are same. And Evanesia, that girl is totally created a controversy when she was released. Even to this day, she is actually considered as even better than Silver. But as I can see that she just totally changed her peer fiction position from tier 0.5 to tier 0. I guess the evaluation they were really needed to do that, to see that how much of a power she can even bring to this current meta. I guess she is considered as a tier 0 character, and I guess there is no kind of like a controversy are going to be going around from those two types of fan base, and your fan base are going to be eating good, because those two characters are considered as a triple tier 0 character. And one thing is also very neat to see that Castoris, who is also a kind of like a 1-year-old character, even to this day she is also considered as a tier 000 character, and she was our 2nd anniversary characters. Anyway, let's see what kind of character already been changed from their previous position. All the characters are remain to their original position from before. Okay, let's see what kind of review they totally provide in here. So first of all, we're going to see what kind of pros that they already provided, and also what kind of cons they already provided. And it is actually interesting to see that they already provided cons only 2 points. Man, that means this character is a must-pull character. Okay, let's see what kind of pros. The first point is going to be the peerless performance as a true universal support. As I already mentioned before, this guy can even perform any of those like teams available into this current endgame mode. As I already mentioned before, if you just somehow able to play this character on a follow-up teams, this guy can also helpful to give you a 50% follow-up damage. And also if you just somehow able to play this guy only for Achiron. Not only give you a good amount of stack of your Achiron, because Achiron does not even have the normal standard 5-stack characters of energy ultimate damage mechanics. This Achiron really required a certain types of archetype to fill up its own ultimate, just like the Silver Roof and also just like the Castoris. The amount of debuff, if any of those characters give you a good amount of like a debuff for your enemy, then your Achiron can even have a higher amount of stack, and then your Achiron can even deploy much more easier ultimate, or you can say the much more higher ultimate in a single turn. Okay, second point is going to be the competitive performance as a dedicated DPS. Oh, damn man, this guy not only give you a good amount of support, but it is also going to give you a competition to your main DPS character, just like the Castoris and Achiron. Oh man, this is actually very much the true characters that we have here right now. Third point is going to be the extremely versatile team options. As I already mentioned before on my first point, this guy can even play any of those teams because 30% defense rate and vulnerability of a 50%. This is the thing that not only give you a good amount of buff to your certain DPS character, but this is the thing that can give you any of those archetype into this game, especially super break, true damage, and dot damage. Any of those like archetype in future, if they comes along, they will be actually get benefited just by having that character on your team. For our next point, which is going to be the extreme survivability with the high HP and also damage reduction. Oh man, they just added so many things in here, which is actually pretty much diabolical to see that he's not even an anniversary character. He's just another like an Awaken character, just like the Silver Roof, or also Fuse types of Fuse is a kind of like an Awaken version of a Ting one. This guy just do so many things. You can consider him as a jack of all trade and master of all at the same time. And our next point is going to be that it is a very difficult to die, since he can even defy death constantly. According to the lore wise, he cannot even die because he get a curse of the abundance Aeon. Spoiler alert, if you just don't even know the story, I guess that's going to be very much of a huge spoiler for you. The next point is going to be the has greatly increased aggro, can even force taunt enemies, increase team survivability. Of course, as I already mentioned before, that he does not even taunt in his base version, which was the main problem of him, because his follow-up damage does require to get a 5 hits from him, and that 5 hits does not even have any kind of like a important kit where he can even have a taunt from the enemies, and he can even have the follow-up attack much more consistently. But they just totally add into his XP version, or you can say the Awaken version. I guess it is actually the mostly highly sorted things that the Blade fan was asking for them to do it. Okay, for the next one, which is going to be the extremely significant amplifying effects that are easy to maintain. Simple things, 30% defense rate, 50% vulnerability, does not even require any of this like a stacking mechanic, just like the Tribi and also just like the Sirene. All you have to do, just deploy him into any other teams, use his skills and ultimate, you will get all the buffs that require your DPS character do the damage. Okay, for the next point, which is going to be the chance out debuff application, like it is going to out of style. Don't know what they are trying to imply in here. The next point is going to be the absolute best installer support for the H1 without a question. I don't even have to explain it. I already explained it so many times in this video. So the next one is going to be the excellent energy economy. Oh my god. Okay, the next point is going to be the powerful vertical investment options. I don't even any of idea what kind of like a vertical that you would even have if you just somehow have him E1 or E2. Let's see in this video. We are going to see that after seeing the build and team sections, see that is it actually going to be very much of a good thing that they are actually imply him to be. For our next point, of course, what do you mean I have hit the character Lee? Of course, this kind of like a joke point they're always the pride into in any of those like a character review. For the con section, damn, this is the first time that I have seen the 2 points, not any of those like a big points, so that means must have characters. First point can be somewhat challenging to play optimally. I have no idea what they are trying to mean there, because this guy is actually very much easy to play. Even you can even just totally play him with the auto play button. And another point is going to be the he is about to become an incredibly contested characters. What they mean by that, the amount of things he is actually providing to your teams, he will be needed each and every other teams that the game is actually throws at you. That's the main thing they are totally invested in here, just like what the TV does, because we cannot even have a 2 TV, we will have a 1 TV. And the time when the TV was released, she was kind of like a true harmony or true buffer character that any of those team really want to have on its own. So the amount of things that TV did that in the time, she was also considered as a mostly contested character, but the crown is actually delivered to Blade, and he is actually holding that crown and to be the most powerful harmony. Okay, that's all for this like a review, but I'm not going to exaggerate it or drag the things along. Let's see the build and teams. Of course, these guys also going going to be the best in slot team for the eidolon. There is a no question. Eidolon, if you do have a E0 H0 man, this girl can also going to be slap harder than ever just because of this guy played Mortenax. And another team they already mentioned, which is a Asheville. I already heard that if you do have the Asheville, and also if you really want to use him with a follow-up teams, which is a consist of a Phase is still considered to this day most powerful follow-up characters. If you just somehow able to deploy, or you can say they have those two guys in your teams is going to be slapped harder than ever if it is a follow-up centric teams. And other than that, these are kind of like a alternate options they are provided in here, which is a Memos split team. I don't think so this is going to be the very much of a good things, because Castorius premium team always going to be the best teams for her. The amount of synergy those 4 characters have, which is a totally no questions that this is the best teams on them. But if you just somehow able to not even have one of those like a what's the character name, Siren, and also the Evernight, I guess this could be the alternate option that you could have right now. Evanescia is kind of very much of a highly universal character for being a elation of a restricted teammates, and she can even play any of those like a teammates without having the restriction of a getting the full of a elation characters. But having a Trailblazer elation is actually enough for her to perform almost closely to our silver level 1999. Okay, that's all for the build and teams. Let's see what kind of like a vertical investment they were talking about in the review section. And the first eidolons provides a universal 20% all types of resistance reduction, making this a great support eidolon, and also improve his ultimate zone uptime through the countdown delay when he uses his extra skills. Oh my god, this guy can even outbreak the TV. That's the main thing. Most of the people would consider the TV E1 is considered one of those like a top tier eidolon that you could even have for a harmony character, even considered the most future proof things that you could even have. But the amount of things this guy actually giving to you for his eidolon E1 and also his base kit, this is already taken the crown off from the TV. I have no other questions to talk about it. For the eidolon 2, let's see. Mortenax Blade is strongest eidolon by far, making allies ultimate count as follow-up attacks to open up new synergies such as with character that buffs follow-up attack especially, and like Asheville, and more importantly reduce the required charge his extra skill from 9 to 7, which can potentially let him chain much more follow-up attacks and make permanently maintain his zone due to eidolon's 1 effects, while also buffing allies follow-up attacks by whooping 75% applies to all ultimate thanks to his first part of eidolons. Oh my god, this eidolon 2, oh my god man, this guy is the actual true support man, where he was before. Why the HSR really took that much of a long time to release this kind of character? Man, you just totally no need to release a silver level 1999 as an anniversary character. Just do me a favor and also make him as an anniversary character. This is the actual true anniversary potential that they're showing in here. Oh my god man, oh my god. The most hated and also the most meme character in HSR community, which was the Blade. Most of the people commented him as a 300k damage would be unreachable for me. As you can see, there's so many memes here and there from the HSR community. But man, these guys totally shattered each and everyone's face with the amount of things he's actually doing right now. Oh my god, I was thinking about getting a Siren of a good amount of eidolon, but I guess having these guys eidolon, I won't be even regret. Okay, that's all for these things. I guess there is nothing to be discussed anymore. I already give you a little bit of a broad description that what I know about him, and also if you just somehow able to get him, man, he's going to be the crack for your account, and it is what it is. If you lost a 50-50, that is also another option, which is going to be the Siren if you don't even have enough fools on your bucket. Other than that, all the characters remain to the original position, and there is nothing to be discussed here. Best of luck to your pull for him if you really want to get him, but as a meta perspective, I would suggest you to pull for him, and he's considered as a one of those like a must pull that this game ever produced. Other than that, if you like this video, leave a like, and also if you have any kind of question regarding his position and also his debuff and also his buffing capability towards your certain DPS characters, you can even totally comment on my comment section, and see you on the next video. Peace.